What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 543 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, hot tags of the week. We will be breaking down some of the current events and rumors and news and gossip and other things that have happened in the world of pro wrestling over the past few days that we feel like talking about. I'm your host as always, Tony Mango. Joining me as always are Callum Wiggins.
Yo.
And Robert DeFelice.
Yo.
Yo. We are rolling along here with, the last thing that we did was our main event for the week. So, of course, hot tags coming up on a Friday. We know what's happening on SmackDown tonight, so we can actually talk about that for the first time in a while. Not that we really feel like it, because we already talked about a little bit of that before. But we are going to talk about the TV stuff that happened. We're going to talk about mostly a lot of NXT stuff this week, actually. And get our predictions for Spring Breakin and talk about a new logo, some new names, etc., etc. So while we go along here, we tell you these things and we talk about our opinions. We want to know what your opinions are. So drop a comment below if you're listening on YouTube. If you are, do all the usual YouTube stuff. You know how to subscribe to channels and like the things and do all the good things and all that. That little join button might be a little bit new to you, but that's the same thing as the Patreon. You get access to the Darkcast and the Pick a Poison tier and different kind of things that are on there. So that's a good way to help us out if you want to help keep the lights on. Little tip jar things on there as well next to the like button. And if you want to help us out in a different kind of way, TeePublic and Redbubble are some merchandise shops. And then that's pretty much all the stuff we need to tell you about that ahead of time. So let's get right into this. I hate the SummerSlam logo. I want to start right off with that. I hate it. I understand that they're going for it's in Nashville and it's like we're going for that kind of vibe a little bit, but I think that this is completely uninspired. I think it's kind of gross looking. I like the star. I really hope that they don't mess around with this and they just go back to the SummerSlam logo. That's good next year. What do you guys think?
I'm going to disagree with you about that last part. I don't want them to go back to the star. I think the star is tired. I think the star is played out. I don't like the logo, but I'm fine with it because it's location based, which is fine. But I hope next year they do a new logo.
Does not faze me. He said, like it's just a logo. Who cares? If the show's bad, the show's bad. The show's good, the show's good. Its logo's not going to change it one way or the other for me.
I'm a big logo guy. I've written up multiple pieces about breaking down the logo history of different things and all that. So to me, that's one of those just like, ew, kind of things. But then again, I mean, when you get the logos, that's what the differentiating factor is for some of these things. Like NXT Spring Breakin, really, all they're doing is throwing another logo on there. The same matches could have happened on a regular episode. So it changes some things. And it's not the worst logo we've ever had. It's not like the Great Balls of Fire thing or anything like that. But
I just want to say, like, I understand Callum's point completely.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm a guy who wanted to get into graphic design specifically because I loved WWE's posters and logos at one point. So for me, it just sucks because everything is so uninspired now.
I still wish that they would go back to the one that was, I think it was 94, I'm pretty sure, where it was the old school SummerSlam logo, but it had the sun in the background and the lines underneath were wavy, like heat wave lines. That was easily my favorite. So if they go back to that instead of the star, I'm totally down for that.
They'll never go back to that because they only used it once and it was in 94. So
highly doubt it, but that would be my pitch. I'd be sitting there in the room and I'd be like, look, if you're not going to listen to my story pitches and my continuity error call outs and everything, can we at least have the little SummerSlam 94 logo? And they'd be like, God damn it, we got to kick this guy out. Why is he explaining to Vince what a burrito is? So that's one of those little stories. A little change in that. We got a change to a ring name. Bianca Carelli hasn't really appeared yet, but we know that she's Santino Marella's daughter, and she is going to be going by Ariana Grace, which is immediately everybody's reaction is, so you're a big fan of Ariana Grande, huh? And she got a little bit of a spotlight this week where they announced that they were going to have an NXT Women's Breakout tournament. Should have happened in the past, It's a slight variation of that mixed in with the Mae Young Classic, kind of in a way, because I guess they just decided to no longer do the Mae Young Classic. But it's going to include 8 NXT Superstars, and they haven't said all of them yet. But what's weird about this is they spotlighted Ariana Grace, they spotlighted Kiana James. Lash Legend said she was going to be in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the Breakout tournament? The girl who's been around for a couple months?
She's had like 5 matches on TV. She could be at a Breakout tournament.
I'm not a big fan of that because it's like, well, at that regard, then Nikita Lyons could be on there. And
probably will be because they don't have enough women that they think are ready to go for this thing. I'm sure. Otherwise, it would just be, well, here's the 8 names.
Well, they got... So we know Grace, we know Kiana James, we know Sloane Jacobs are 3 of the newer ones that they really didn't fully show off yet. Like Jacobs, I think, had only wrestled 1 match and she got squashed. But they do have some other people that they're sitting on. Like Brooklyn Barlow had been on NXT Level Up. And we got Roxanne Perez. We've got Tatum Paxley. We got Thea Hale. Blanking. I mean, we haven't seen Sophia Cromwell wrestle yet. So
Thea Hale will probably be in it. Cromwell, I don't think should wrestle yet. I'm liking the whole she just walks by and people are getting beat up for looking at her.
Some other people that are in the mix of there, we got Mila Milani, Raylan Devine, Vish Kenya. I don't know what's going on with that. She's been a part of this for like, they trademarked her name like a year ago or something, and she just hasn't been around. Amelia Herr, Notorious Mimi, Calix Hampton, Jakara Jackson. So they got 8 people if they want to, but for some reason, I guess Lash Legend's going to be in there. And I guess cycling back around here, what do you guys think about the Ariana Grace name? What do you think about this NXT Women's Tournament?
I like the Grace name. It's inspired from what it's inspired from, but I think that fits. I hope she's good. You know, she's wanted to wrestle for a while. She did a lot of interviews. She was one person who I was covering a lot before even seeing a clip of her in a ring. So I'm glad that she's getting this chance. I hope this tournament's good. I know that's such a bullshit answer, but like, NXT is so different now that there are no more expectations. So I just hope whatever we get is decent.
So in terms of Ariana Grace, it's a name. That's basically all I can really say. But it doesn't sound like it's... Obviously, it sounds like Ariana Grande, but outside of that, it sounds like a name that somebody could have. So that's a plus point. It's a little disappointing that it doesn't actually... Her surname isn't Morella, just because, obviously, her name isn't Morella in real life. But I guess there is the argument that typecasts her to being a joke character if she takes the surname of Morella, because it's not like it's The Rock or Stone Cold or somebody like that store. It's the surname of Jobber, not a joke character for the majority of his career. That's why Carmella doesn't come out to Van Dale or anything like that. It's like you don't come out to the surname of someone who wasn't super prominent in the wrestling business. But the women's tournament, like Rob says, you'd hope it's good, but I have absolutely no indication or expectation for it being good, considering that these are women who have just come into the Performance Center for the most part, and especially if Lash Legend is taking part as well, considering the women that they already have featuring on NXT every single week, and these are the ones that are just coming in from the Performance Center. I have no faith that that's going to be any good, because most of the women they've got wrestling right now suck really, really badly. Like that fucking Lash Legend Nikita Lyons match that opened NXT this week it's definitely high up there in my rankings for worst match of the year so far.
I have to rewatch it because I really wasn't paying all that much attention, but I don't remember thinking that it was good.
Well, you're fortunate. I saw the first thing that got my attention to it is because I saw the clip online of Nikita and Lash doing crisscrosses, And basically just like one of them starts running, then the other one starts running, and they have no idea, like, oh, it's one of them supposed to stop, is one of them supposed to take a move, anything like that. They just keep running until Nikita just does a Lufez press, and then they continue, which made me interested enough to check out the remainder of the match to a degree, or as much of it as I could bear to watch. And yeah, they're just so not ready for this, but they both got big asses, so that's kind of the qualifier at this point in time. So that's what you need in this NXT world. And then you watch Roxanne Perez against Mandy Rose, and then you think that, oh Christ, she's like 10 times better than any other woman on this roster who's not called Io Shirai or Alba Fire. Then it's kind of like everyone else that's coming through who have got very limited to no wrestling experience outside of Ariana Grace, because presumably she's been trained for quite a while due to who her father is. I can't have any faith that any of these matches are going to be any good, besides maybe the final, if they decide to actually use the 2 best workers out of the 8 they put forward.
So I want to jump in here and just say I did think this was the case, but I did Google it to make sure. Sloane Jacobs is Notorious Mimi. So they did use Notorious Mimi. Her name is just Sloane Jacobs.
Oh, they just changed her name, so then I gotta adjust that. So that's so they've been trademarking multiple names for the same people. Then that's throwing me off so fucking much. I hate when they do that kind of stuff.
But that's fine because they want to own it. So they're just making sure whatever it is, they're gonna own it.
They're just gonna trademark every version of the name. They should, for that matter, if you're talking about the Morella thing, mixing her 2 names together. The good thing about the Ariana Grace name is you could play that off as being her first and middle name if you needed to. Not that they give a shit, because of course they're just like, you are now Benjamin instead of whatever. They just kind of do that shit. Alba Fire, textbook example. But the way you could do that if you wanted to get into the Morella thing, it could be that her name's Ariana Grace Morella, and she just goes by Ariana Morella or something like that. That would be that's the whole, if I was in the pitch room and I'd be like, how about we just do one little thing that makes a little bit more sense, instead of somebody being like, I am now Fire, because Fire is hot, and I don't know, Alba. Hate that kind of thing.
I want to talk about Kiana James. Because
I can't
get over this. I cannot get over this. Why are we going back to 1992? What good is that doing anybody? Especially when you consider the fact that if Sean is really in charge, this the shit that you were making fun of back then? Like, what are we doing? For those who don't know, she's like an accountant or some
statistician, I think.
Something like that. But why is this a gimmick?
They love their gimmicks. It's like an edict going on right now in WWE where they're just sort of like, okay, tell me who you are. And you go, well, I'm, Jessica, and I loved wrestling as a kid. And then they go, yeah, but did you also have like some kind of weird thing going on? Or what's your other jobs that you've had? And, I kind of look at it as one of those things where it's like, right now, that's not good. But then again, Michelle McCool was a teacher, and then she just became Michelle McCool. So if she's good enough, they'll ditch it.
I mean, maybe. It's just weird that we're starting over again. That's all. To me, it's like you're putting an anchor to these people, because now it's the weird statistician girl, or it's the funny, mobster guy. And he got away with it because he was like one of the first 4 or 5 people they showed. But even that's kind of silly.
Any thoughts on that, Cal?
I think the gimmick could work because, and just a bit of personal reflection, it's kind of the gimmick that I wanted to use if I ever got into wrestling.
Tell me more.
I wanted to. Well, I wanted to develop if I ever got into it, it wouldn't have been a wrestler because, well, if you haven't seen me, I'm definitely not built for it in any way, shape, or form. But if I was in a manager capacity or something like that, I was thinking of a character called the Scout or something along those lines, who's someone who basically brings out reams and reams of paper, who's analysed who you're the rest of your managing's opponent, like every single detail. Like say, oh, I've spotted that 3 years ago he suffered a tear in his ankle, so definitely go after that part because that's a weak spot. And so I think that there's some legs to a character that does crunch the numbers, look at the stats, tries to pick out where their opponents do well, where they do badly, and use that to their advantage.
You know,
if they go into it.
Yeah, if they position her more as a manager and do that kind of thing.
I mean, she could do that without being a manager, but the trick
I would
with
do it for a wrestler if I looked or was built like a wrestler, but I'm not, so I can't do that. But someone who could, I'm sure would do. It has to be a heel gimmick.
Yeah,
of course, it would have to be a heel gimmick.
Heel until it becomes comedic.
Oh yeah, once it becomes comedic, then you can do whatever you like with it. But it has to start off as a heel, and the fun should be in the point where like the heel would initially start getting wins because obviously they're scouting all these people and they're getting all the details, but then at some point it just starts going wrong, or they start picking on the wrong spot or something like that. Or but I think that a character of that nature that is very stats focused or does a lot of research prior to the matches can have an impact on it. But of course they would have to be good as well, which is the main thing. We don't know yet whether
Kiana James.
Kiana James. Yeah, just getting used to all the new names. Mm-hmm. Whether she can deliver in the ring with that kind of gimmick as well.
I haven't seen enough of her to really be able to say yay or nay.
Well, because we don't know what she's actually doing on those spreadsheets. She just says that she likes spreadsheets.
Well, what I'm worried about with that is that that's the end of it. That they literally are like, you've got glasses. And she just comes out to the ring and it's like, yeah, she's, crunching the numbers and she's running all these stats, but she just goes and she poses on the side of the apron and then she takes her glasses off in the ring and then she wrestles. Like where there's no actual character. It's just put glasses on the way to the ring.
Now, perhaps foolishly so, but I have a little more faith in them than that. Like, they're going to lean into it because they've leaned into everybody's shtick lately. So they'll lean into it.
Before moving off of the women's breakout tournament and getting into another thing about the way that people dress in NXT, do you guys think we're going to end up getting Simone Johnson in this?
I think it has to happen. I think at some point, even if she's not in the tournament and she comes out after and says, yeah, I didn't need to be in this, check my pedigree, check the pedigree. I don't need to be in this tournament. I am already the breakout star by just existing. She has to be around this.
No, because they would have announced it.
I mean, they do still have next week.
I think they would. She would have been the first name announced if they were actually going to run with her. I think that again, I can't say to a degree. Like that's just my personal prediction. It could be other way. In the end, I don't really have any horse in this race, so it doesn't really matter one way or the other to me. But it just would strike me as she would be positioned very early on as someone that's okay. We've got Simone Johnson in this. That's a huge deal. And so she would be the first name that I would call out if I was going about this or going about promoting this tournament and trying to make it a big deal. The fact that she wasn't among the first 3 or 4 people that have been named for the tournament just makes me feel like she's not ready yet for it.
See, I don't think she's going to be ready for it, either just for her injury or maybe just not necessarily good enough. But I do think that maybe it makes more sense to say that on Spring Breakin because you got a potential for more people watching. And, they did announce Santino's daughter as the first one. So
it's also like she could be the last one announced.
Yeah.
And hey, just wait till you see what we have because we've got the Rock's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they call her?
I mean, definitely not Simone Johnson in any fashion. If they're like, hey, Robert Stone's also Robert, so he's got to be Mr. Stone.
Did they do that? Did I miss that?
Yeah, he's Mr. Stone now.
Yeah. I think that there is the potential to just be overhyping this too much.
What, her?
That's what I do.
Just because she's the Rock's daughter doesn't mean that she's going to be. Doesn't mean that even though she's gone through all this training, because like she's been serving the company 2 years now.
It was before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's been with the company for over 2 years, or at least around about that number, and we haven't seen her in TV in any capacity yet. Gives me the indication that she got injured at some point, didn't she?
Yeah, she's been injured for a long while. That's why I'm like, I don't even know if she's done with that.
Well, that just gives the indication of, well, she's been injured, so either she's recovering from that or she's just not picking it up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue with that is that with someone like Santino's daughter, you can just run with whatever gimmick you want to. You could continue the Morella name, but you can just run with any gimmick because there's not that level of expectation. If you're the Rock's daughter and you come out and you're just a wrestler or you're just there, then that's just not going to cut it.
I'm pretty sure that's why Eddie's daughter just decided to not wrestle. Yeah.
I mean, she tried.
I'm pretty sure that's why, but I'm pretty sure the reason she didn't stick with it is because she was like, yeah, if I'm not good enough, I'm just not going to do it.
Wrestling history is littered with second and third generation superstars that cannot live up to the weight of their parents' expectations, the level that their reputation, not by any fault of their own, but it's very, very difficult when literally your father is probably the most well-known wrestler of all time.
Yeah, it's
that sets a bar that no other second or third generation wrestler, and in her case she'd be a fourth generation wrestler, has ever had to live up to.
Like you said, I mean, Carmella and her dad, and somebody like Raquel. I mean, Raquel's father is a former wrestler, but like, you know, nobody's comparing him to The Rock.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a case of, I think that as soon as she's debuted, she has to be ready, or as ready as she can be. And if there's any margin for doubt, I don't think they would risk putting her out there just yet.
Well, now that they have Roxy and she's Roxanne, there goes my original pitch from a couple of years ago where I was like, why don't they call her Roxy Maivia? So I don't know what the hell they'll end up going with, but they could try to play into the whole, like, how Rocky Maivia was this super smiley baby face that nobody could really stand kind of thing and needed to level up. They could do that, but I don't think we're going to get her announced for this. I think that they've got enough other people, and she probably is still on the injured reserve list. And as far as the name goes, I mean, that's, you take a shot in the dark for anything. They could just pick some kind of random ass name. For all we know, she could be like Kelly Anderson or something. But yeah. Speaking about the way that the whole, you know, how you're going to present these NXT women, Ember Moon, Athena, whatever she might go by in the future, she had been talking about some of these things recently, and she mentioned something that is thankfully catching quite a bit of wind here. At WWE apparently had some kind of a meeting that was very, very thinly veiled of how can we say be sexier without necessarily saying we want to be going back to the way that it used to be with like the Divas era. So I forget exactly what the wording was, but it was something where it was like, supposedly the wording was something about whatever. So, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt, but the theory being, or the hearsay, to use a phrase that's been used a lot with the Johnny Depp trial, basically dress more like Mandy Rose, show more skin. And it upset a lot of people, as it pretty much should in some ways. But, I mean, is it all that surprising? We've been noticing this. You know, look at what's happened over the past couple of months. Toxic Attraction becomes the big thing. And there's a big concerted effort of like Indy Hartwell and Persia Perota, like attacking their dudes and making out with them in the ring. And people like Brooks Jensen, his whole gimmick is, I can't figure out how to get laid. You know?
Malik Blade, his whole gimmick is, I can't figure out
want to
how to
fuck
get
Mandy
laid.
Rose. Yeah.
Like, it's not surprising because they've openly gone this direction. But I think it is disappointing, especially if you're an Ember Moon who came to the company in the middle of like, hey, Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky just went up to the main roster. We're doing this whole push where women's wrestling is taken seriously. And as quickly as they built all that up, they're already going, yeah, okay, but we did that. Now let's go back to being sexy. And I do believe that there's a way to have both.
Right.
And
for that record, for the men too, because you got to target that audience as well. It's not a one-way street.
Right. But they're not doing that. They're not. NXT in particular went from, wow, what a great match between Raquel and Io Shirai to, and here's Mandy Rose and Cora Jade kind of fumbling around roll-ups. It got really weird really quick because they overcorrected. They overcorrected too quickly. And that's from a fan perspective. If I'm Ember Moon or anybody, quite frankly, I'm pissed that you just spent years and years and years of telling us how we're equal and we're this and we're that. And now you're like, yeah, but can you get sexy again? Like, I'm fuming if I'm them.
And that overcorrection is wide across the company. You look at their response of, we need to trim some budget cuts, so let's release like 110 people. We need to focus less on indie people, so let's release all the people that we just signed that are indie people and not hire any of them except for, whatever, a few random people. It's very much like, let's just turn everything on a dime instead of making small adjustments. So that's very jarring too. It's not like you just said like, well, we'll introduce a couple more of these characters. We'll introduce a Tiffany Stratton and see how that works. And maybe we'll do the Toxic Attraction thing and there'll be the standouts that are like that. There'll be the sexy trio, but we'll still have the people like, I don't know, the Alba Fire, who like, that's not part of her gimmick whatsoever. You know what I mean? I'm fully in the same kind of camp that she's in, where she's just like, this was really disillusioning and I wasn't having fun and I wasn't enjoying myself and it seemed like high school bullshit and all that. I'm like, yeah, I would be thinking the same thing.
Well, there's two words that are kind of underlying all this thing, and that's John Laurinaitis. And he's back in a position of power in the company, and there's no real surprise that that's come with this transition towards a more Divas style presentation. And fundamentally, as you guys have both said, there is no problem with having a sexy gimmick or being a very attractive wrestler and using that as part of your gimmick. There's nothing wrong with Toxic Attraction. There's nothing wrong with Scarlett Bordeaux. There's nothing wrong with people, Tai Conchi, what she's doing right now. Like, those gimmicks work. And as long as they're happy with it and the company's happy with it, like, it has to come either one way. It's either the company suggests the idea and the wrestler's okay with it and you move forward, or the wrestler says to the company, oh, I'd like to do this sort of gimmick, and they agree to it, and then you move forward. But if it's a case of, no, we want all of you to look sexier now or dress like this, like dressed like Mandy Rose or someone of that ilk, and you just feel, oh, that I'm not really into that idea, that doesn't really mesh with what I want to do, and then using that as a reason to basically drop them down the pecking order, or say, oh, maybe you're better suited to being a coach then rather than being a wrestler, even though Ember Moon is like not even mid-30s yet. It's like making her a coach straight away just because, yeah, we want you to train all the hot women we're going to bring through this company. It's just...
I'm going through in detail reading this quote, and they sat them down for 2 hours about how to be sexy. Like,
well, from what I read through it, again, I just like checked out the Playable Select report, but it was apparently some sort of fashion agent or some sort of modeling agent that came in to essentially run these courses with the women at how to take certain photos or style themselves or something of male to make it seem probably a bit less seedy than the suggestion of, hey, wear less clothing. And that is, so to try and give it some sort of swathe of professionalism, or I know we're doing something with it. At the end of the day, WWE has every right, whether good, bad, or indifferent. I personally think that it's a disgusting practice, but they're well within their rights to basically say, yeah, we're only going to hire with like women that we want to put into
looking,
well, actually, they're not within their rights to do it because it's completely unethical in this day of age to hire.
Unethical.
Like, there's that documentary that recently came out about on Netflix, I believe, of Abercrombie and Fitch and their sort of business practices. And I haven't watched the documentary in full, but from the hearsay that I've heard from surrounding it, it's like talk about how they used to only hire good-looking people, and if they hired quote-unquote unattractive people, they would work in the back of the stores and things like that. And it's just, and this is another sort of those practices. And not only is it just completely unethical, and it's in the case of someone like Athena or Ember Moon, it's making them feel uncomfortable in their own working environment because they feel like, oh, if we don't take this step, then we're not going to get pushed anymore on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just unfair on them. It's also just like, I want to see diversity, and I want to see that represented. And it's not just a case like I don't just want to see, for want of a better phrase, jerk off material from my female wrestlers or male wrestlers or anybody like that. You want people of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, experience, all of that stuff, like, because that makes a more interesting and dynamic product. If you're just hiring the same, like,
if everybody looks like Sophia Cromwell, then why are there 10 Sophia Cromwells?
Yeah. Well, it comes to Diva Search era again. It's just a bunch of inexperienced green women who basically decided to move from modeling into wrestling because acting was too difficult. And maybe that's being too harsh, but that was what the Diva Search was like. That was the Diva Search.
That's being honest,
but you're right on the money, probably.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, part of that Ember Moon interview as well. It didn't just talk about this whole dress sexier thing. It was also, she spoke about how a lot of the women backstage, at least from her perspective, have no passion or interest towards wrestling beyond the fact that they get to be on television.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm reading these quotes again, like right now, because Chris Van Vliet sent them my way. This actually, for me, sounds pretty bleak. As someone who really did enjoy the Evolution era and who, talked openly about how much I love Sasha Banks and how much fun that is for me, seeing that it's kind of going back to this era of like, hey, well, we can make you a TV star, and it's pretty disappointing. And she does say here, I started to notice things going downhill when Hunter was gone, and for a while we didn't know why he was. And then she says when she realized why he was, she got angry because he's gone and they're not using her, And to be real, that's how it happened. She came back, they did the War Games thing, and then it was like, where's Ember? Back off TV.
She had a lot of start and stop kind of things going on. She had some injury stuff, but then it was like, let's change your character up a little bit. Let's put you in a tag team. Let's take away the tag team. So that they're just like, and we've been seeing this for everything across the board for NXT in particular, where they're just trying shit out. 3 weeks later, it's dead already. They don't know what they want. And the things that they do want, a lot of it doesn't stick, but they're being very adamant about it. Like, well, that's what we want, so we're going to push that as much as we can. We're going to ignore the things that are working if we don't like it and everything. But it's one of those subjects that obviously there's a lot to unpack with it because, like Callum had said for a couple of the different parts, like WWE is and isn't well within their right to do these kind of things in certain ways. And then in other ways, absolutely scummy for doing it because Yeah, you can't really say, okay, well, Abercrombie and Fitch or something like, well, we're not going to hire anybody who is ugly or unattractive, whatever. Partially because it's subjective. So who makes that judgment call? And then say, the ugly people work in the back or whatever, without being pretty fucking awful. But devil's advocate, if you are trying to go for a branding of something and you want to have that all across the board, I don't know why I'm using that phrase so much today. I'll just throw out a piece since I'll probably say that a couple more times too, where you want to project this kind of, okay, well, people who go to this store are this type and that's what you get with our branding. Then, I mean, to a certain extent, you can kind of do that kind of thing. It's not ethical, but I can understand it. Like, you don't go to Hooters, for instance, and expect to have an overweight guy as your server, right? Now, that doesn't make that okay necessarily, but it's like, that's the gimmick. So if they were to be like, okay, well, why aren't you hiring me? Or why aren't you hiring, say, somebody who's not qualified for the job in a different other kind of way? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of another type of position other than like a Hooters type thing, but like Sports Illustrated, like, your modeling thing, or like Victoria's Secret models or something like that. Yeah, they're like diversifying and everything more, but the branding is super attractive, unattainable women type of thing. And not anybody can get that job. And something like WWE doesn't have to be that.
But the thing is, even that mindset now is just fucked.
It's considered toxic now and everything, but it's like, that is still the business practice, and I can understand that. But WWE isn't one of those things. Like, you're fundamentally you're hiring people for two reasons. They're entertaining in like the character aspect, and or they're entertaining in the ring. Now, physical appearance is kind of a part of it, but you can't simultaneously say all the women have to be sexy, but the men don't have to be. That's not right. So why would it be okay for the Viking Raiders to just be like, not to pick on Ivar, but like Ivar, yeah, Eric, not so much, but like, you can't say it's okay for Ivar to just look the way that Ivar does and then have Randy Orton and Finn Balor and these other people that have been in the Sexy Superstars tournament type stuff or something. Like, you have a certain equality that you have to match up to. And if you're going to have a meeting where it's going to be this fashion person is going to tell you how you can be sexier to your audience, you can't have it just be the women. It has to be the men involved too. And it has to be about how the men can do that. It's still not good to do that, but at least then it's not as bad because you're saying this is across the whole roster and it's something that we want to make sure that everybody is as fit as they can and blah, 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 blah. You could try to play into that a little bit, but you're still going to come off bad. You know what I mean? Like,
but I'll tell you what is bad though. Seeing that they told Ember Moon, dye your hair, you're going to go back to the old character, old music. And then she does that. And then from Vince, according to her, it's just, no, we're taking you off TV indefinitely.
With no reasoning. Yeah.
With no reasoning. And I think that's horrible. And again, sure, a lot of people can say, well, it's no big deal when you release a Alex Zane because no big deal. Alex Zane can just go kill it in GCW again. But it still sucks because these people thought that they were finally getting their chance, right? Because Ember Moon even talks about here how she had so many no's prior to that because it was the Divas era, and it finally meant something to her to be a part of there. And then
it kind of implies a little bit that it was like, we don't like your look, so you're off.
It's not implied. It's basically what was happening, and it's terrible.
It's, again, just to bring it around to what we discussed earlier, WWE is well within their rights to decide that they don't want to hire a certain profile of person one way or another, but we are well within our rights to call them out on that being an absolutely bullshit way of approaching
exactly
your recruitment process. You shouldn't just be hiring people that look good if they can't work. You're a fucking wrestling company, as much as you want to call yourself sport entertainment. What happens is there are two people who either have to cut promos on each other or be in the ring, and if they can't do either of them, they look good. I'm still not going to care. It's not going to make me still like super interested in watching this.
Just the same as when you're casting in a movie, you could say this person looks like they could be a great Batman. Can they act? You know what I mean?
But then again, the funny aspect of this, if there is a funny side of it, is that this comes out at the end of the week of this week's stupid Twitter argument of the week, which is always developing, was that started off with that Becky Lynch interview where she talked about how she doesn't watch AEW's or she doesn't really look at AEW's women's division because they're not competition or that they are not treated with the same way that Raw SmackDown women's division is, and they have the best women's division in the world, and blah, 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 blah. And then it ends the week with them saying that WWE is now instituting their practices of making sure they have all the hot women on TV as much as possible and they're dressing as hot as possible.
Right.
But it just launched this massive Twitter debate, as it always will do, about, this AEW stuff, AEW doesn't know how to treat their women's division, they've always booked them badly, or like, but WWE's going backwards, it feels like, with the women's division. And it's like a whole much of muchness, because quite frankly, neither company is doing well with their women's division. Yep. So why the fuck are we arguing about who's doing slightly better on a really shitty thing at the moment?
I will honestly
it's 100% true. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you can go ahead and finish.
Well, 100% true that AEW is not devoting enough time and not booking their women strongly enough, and that's causing an issue. They should be given more time on television, or given more storylines, or given more of a focus. But it's also true that WWE's women's division is going backwards at a rate of knots. And we shouldn't be trying to praise either one of them against each other. We should be saying, why aren't you doing a better job?
We should be pointing out the flaws in both and saying which one can do better in this way and that way, rather than saying this is the better of the two evils kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Or you should be
Sounds
saying,
like an election.
You're saying both wrong. If you want good women's wrestling, watch Impact, watch Stardom, watch a lot of other really promotions that are doing a much better job than either of these two. But
rewatch NXT from a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Watch Raw in 2016 when Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair were killing it every single week.
Right.
Like there are good instances of all that stuff happening, and it's not like there aren't flashes like Thunder Rosa Britt Baker feud in AEW, like Cheetah and Serena Deeb had a good match in this week's Dynamite, and like there's still instances where WWE gets it right, like Belair and Lynch. That was a great feud, but it's mired in this like overarching, like those are the exceptions, not the rules. Whereas like it's just swathed in a bunch of endless rematches and matches that don't matter and titles that don't matter, like the women's tag titles in WWE. Like it's all just a whole bunch of nothing. And then this story brings up the idea of, that's why literally everybody in NXT is just horny as hell.
Yeah,
it's because that's the thing now. That's apparently how you're getting through to the kids. With their 18 to 34 numbers dropping every single week, like on a constant slope, like it's an absolute like falling off a cliff. How badly they're just losing their youngest audiences. Just
hey, but Wendy Chu's got a Super Soaker, so.
But I'm gonna be honest. I think if you're a women's wrestler who's just breaking in because you saw the success of Sasha and Bayley, or anything like that, it's a pretty rough landscape. Because you can make the argument, well, GCW intergender stuff is really popping off, but it's like, and it is, and I'm not gonna lie, it absolutely is. But if you want to just bell to bell have great matches, it's feeling like your opportunities are less and less by the day, because AEW is not doing enough, because WWE is going backwards, and it's painful to watch as a fan. Go ahead, Cal.
And it's fundamentally what, as you brought it up, Tony, it's a double standard. This doesn't apply to the men, and that is not fair. And again, as I said at the very beginning, if you want to have a sexy gimmick, have a sexy gimmick. If the company proposes a sexy gimmick and you're totally cool with it, that's 100% fine. But it shouldn't be a situation where you're going into a new role thinking that you have to be something that you're not, because that's what's expected of you.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Los Lotharios going out there and being like, oh, we're flirting with a plant in the crowd every week. Yeah, especially it's funny, like it's always in the same exact spot. It seems like it's always a brunette. It's just kind of the way that they're doing things. But there's a big difference between the quote unquote hot, sexy guys of Los Lotharios versus everybody on the roster needs to trim their clothes to show more skin.
It's wrong, and I'll say this, like, as someone who pretty much every day since the big blowout of 2020 with the speaking out stuff is constantly like trying to not think of the shittiness in wrestling. Wrestling continues to be like, don't forget, we can be super shitty in this way, and it's rough.
And the fans too. I mean, some fans are out there asking people the sound that they make when they chew grapes. The hell?
Go ahead, Gal.
Just again, to reiterate this point that I think we've said on multiple podcasts in the past as well. Like, if you're so desperate, or you're one of these people that says that it's so great that they're reverting to the Divas era stuff, and oh god, it's so great we get quote unquote hot women back on the TV showing less skin or ever. Just fucking load up Pornhub. Load up fucking Pornhub. Get yourself off and just fuck off. Like, you don't have to watch wrestling to do like it's the idea of, like, people like I saw this really stupid, like, it must have been one of the stupidest things I've ever seen written on Twitter, and that's like saying something. It's just like, I think it was in response to someone who wrote something like that, how they enjoy wrestling, and then someone replied with the idea. This particular sentence just popped me in all the worst ways. Wrestling is the worst thing about wrestling. And it's just like, and he said like, oh, it's all about like gimmicks and characters or stuff. And that's obviously part of pro wrestling. I'm not saying that's not part of it, but it's just the idea that you subject yourself to quote unquote wrestling to watch a wrestling show, whereas you could watch literally any TV show or any movie or or porn, obviously, and stuff like that, and then you could see all the hot women or men or anything like that you could possibly want to see, and you decide to watch wrestling, which you have said you don't like the wrestling part of it.
Yeah, just load up TikTok and see people do that stupid arm dance.
Yeah, exactly. There are many different ways to watch people jack off or have stupid characters on TV. It's like, that is, yeah, you have an abundance of that. Literally take your fill. You click anywhere on the internet and you pretty much find it. And so
Rule 34, you don't even have to be looking for it and you'll find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't Google like Sonic the Hedgehog on DeviantArt.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And yet you decide to watch this. You decide to watch something that a major part of it, or like the constituent part of it, which is two people or more people wrestling within a ring, that you don't actually enjoy.
It's kind of like being like, man, I'm really, really into the Olympic volleyball team because those shorts that they wear or something, and it's like.
So that video on YouTube that we bring up sometimes about the Alexa Bliss's back. It's like, fucking hell, those people must have loaded up Red Sheet one day and then their mind must have exploded like that.
Yeah, it's really sad. But, I mean, we've said this a million times, that's how the cookie crumbles, and we can dislike it as much as we can, but we clearly don't have the power to change that. But you have the power to change some of the things as far as your appearance goes, and you can use our sponsors for this episode for that. Because Manscaped has you covered, at least if you are looking for the best tools for your family jewels. And we are going to transition over here for a quick plug for them, so we'll be back in a minute after this. Welcome back to another one of our unboxing videos here of our stuff that we got over from Manscaped. We talked about the body spray and the deodorant, and we are going to now, let's see what we can grab out of here. I took all the packaging out, but we got the body wash and the shampoo and conditioner, two products that I have used over the course of these past couple of weeks or so before we even got these, so this is going to last me quite a while because you get a lot in the container. These, and the same as everything else in this box that we've been talking about and everything else on the website, are all the same, 20% off and free shipping with the promo code SMARK. If you don't use the promo code, you're not going to get that, so make sure that you use that and let them know that you came from us.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that every time that I use this body wash in particular, and the same thing for the shampoo and conditioner, if I use my generic shampoo, I don't get any kind of like, oh, you smell super nice kind of thing. You might just be like, okay, you smell nice, but it's not going to be the same kind of thing. Yeah. But I know that if I use the body wash instead of regular soap or something, and I'm smelling like, not like this generic, like lavender kind of smell.
Like sensual, clean men.
Clean.
Clean. That's what it smells like. And that's why I get so excited when he showers and then he puts his stuff on. And I'm going to be way more excited now because now he has the deodorant and the body spray.
Yeah, so this body wash in particular, I always like using this a lot more, and I obviously can't show the product off.
I can also tell on your skin feels softer when you use it, which I know that men might not care about, but please do the world a favor and be clean, be smelling nice, and if you can get tough skin out of it, what's to lose? Hello.
So if you are interested in picking this up or this or both or anything else in this package or the other kind of packages that they have, use the promo code SMARK and get 20% off and free shipping, because why wouldn't you want to save some money while you're doing that? Why wouldn't you want to smell nice? Why wouldn't you want to impress the people in your life that are going to be touching your skin and smelling you and everything else?
Just do it for yourself. I feel so much better after an annoying day when I shower and I smell nice. It's really, it's great for your soul. So even if you're I'm single, whatever, I don't care about that stuff, that's fine. Do it for yourself. Be clean. Smell nice. Your balls, your groin, your crotch, everything's gonna thank you.
Your balls will thank you.
Yes.
And they are
Caroline will thank you.
Not in a personal way.
No.
She's mine. So she will thank me for putting these on a little bit later on. Mm-hmm. And we're going to continue to go through this box, and we'll show you the other thing in the next ad that you guys eventually see. So thank you to Manscaped for sending this our way. Thank you to anybody else who picks anything up, and we will see you next time. But in the meantime, let's go back to the show for whatever episode we're on right now. I don't know. All right, we are back. Thank you to Manscaped again, and we are going to roll along here with just some other stories. That's kind of the point of that. Thanks. Let's talk about the IInspiration. They are indefinitely stepping away from in-ring action, and there hasn't been a clarification about what this means yet, but of course everybody's speculation trains are rolling along with are they going to AEW and this is just a ruse, or is this maybe an announcement that one of them or both of them are going to start trying to have a family, and it's you're a package deal, so if the one of you or both at the same time kind of deal want to have a kid, then you might as well take the time off too. Maybe they just don't want to wrestle anymore. Maybe they're making enough money with their they don't have it's not OnlyFans, right? It's something like that. I don't know. I don't subscribe to any of these things. Brand Army. There's a million of these. We're not OnlyFans. We're the other one where you can do the exact same thing. So it's whatever it might be. I don't know. Maybe they want to do that.
Urge to merge, are you?
I mean, it's just why be I'm the different one? Okay, what are you doing? The same thing as everybody else? Sure. But maybe they just want to do that. Maybe they want to focus on the podcast stuff. Maybe they want to get into anything else. I don't know. I read this as we don't want to wrestle anymore. More than we're just going to AEW or something like that.
Oh, well, here's the thing. They didn't say we're going any. we're going to AEW. They said we're leaving the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, and I don't want to get too heavy into the world of speculation, but I think that they probably got their fill. They got to do the inspiration thing through Impact and have control of their characters and everything. And maybe they just feel like, you know what? Been fun. We lived their dream. Let's move on for a bit. And when we're ready, we'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of it, really. Again, not knowing them personally, I can't really say one way or the other, but they got to be in WWE for a long period. They got a good gimmick working together for the most part. And then they come to Impact, get to spend a bit of time as the inspiration, get their own control, their own narrative, to take a phrase which is no longer in popular use. But hopefully they're not going there. But I think that, it's probably just a case that they just want to step away from the ring for a while, maybe even indefinitely. Like, there's a case of, I think that Cassie in particular pointed to the pinned tweet on her Twitter, which is that she wants to be the lead in a rom-com one day. So I think that she'll probably want to move into acting. Maybe Jesse's the same way. Obviously, they'll continue to do the podcast. They still have a thriving business in terms of like the OnlyFans stuff. That, even though I don't think their thing's OnlyFans, I can't remember what the name of what they use.
Or it's Brand Army, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's, for anybody who's wondering, it's not like they're to do the Tony Storm clarification. It's not like they're posting porn kind of thing. But if you're into that, exactly. I mean, NXT, he's got.
And again, Pornhub is free.
Yeah. But I mean, modeling is a career, and a lot of people make bank off of that. And I gotta imagine that people like them are making quite a bit of money off of that, and that's a hell of a lot easier than taking a bunch of bumps and shit, you know?
Yeah. And I also, like, again, I don't want to like speculate or just give with like too much fib, but like Cassie's married to Sean Spears. They presumably may want to have kids at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that aspect of it. I don't know who Jessie was with, but maybe that's going to be something in her future as well. It's just a case of they've done what they wanted to do. If they want to come back, I'm sure the business will welcome them back with open arms. And yeah, so it's just a case of they wanted to call time on it for the time being and see what other directions they can take, and maybe that will be where they end up and they never come back to the ring, or if they do, it's in like a very sporadic appearance type thing for either Impact or WWE or wherever they go. But yeah, I think it's just, for now, we should just consider them completely deactivated.
That's the way that
I'm for turning down the Royal Rumble this year. You know, they were offered it. They said, hell no. You know, you let us go. And power to them for doing that. Power to them for realizing that they are a package deal because they're stepping away together. And I think they accomplished a lot together. They were a very fun act. And I look forward to whatever they do down the line.
I like their story. I like that they were like not super close in school, and then they go to the same wrestling stuff, and then they do this and they do that, and then they become like extremely close friends, and they're basically sisters, and that they didn't just go, yeah, but you know what, I want to get my singles career, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and the one of you is going to be bitter about, you know, any of that kind of. I like that that's the case, and if this is the end of their thing, I mean, they already won the tag team titles at WrestleMania. Like, what much more can you hope for? Yeah, you could hope to be the first ever woman to main event WrestleMania, and you win the championship, and you do this and you do that, and you're a Hall of Fame this and that. Like, you know, you could do all that kind of stuff individually, but shit, that's so much that they accomplished. And if they're fine and they're like, you know what, I think we're done, fucking hats off to them. So I'm hoping that it's something on the positive side of things. Like, obviously, that they decide that they wanted to leave, and that's the case, and not that there's some kind of an injury problem, and that's why they're stepping away, or something, you know, they found out there's some kind of a health issue that's going to prevent one of them from wrestling, so the other one's just going to take time off or whatever. Nothing like that's been indicated, but I'm hoping that it's more of just like, yeah, we're kind of done with wrestling. Let's try some other stuff out, whether it's have kids or be into acting or just do the modeling stuff, or fucking, I don't know, become a farmer. I don't know what the hell they plan on doing. But hopefully the best is coming their way, like future wise, as opposed to just leaving that all behind.
But I also want to say, we talked about the whole controlling your own story, controlling your own narrative. Good for them for, hey, we did it. Let's get out. And that to me is something special. But since you mentioned, wrestlers being done in the ring and potentially those that may be on a farm, I just want to bring this up. Bo Dallas says he'll be back in the ring within the next 2 to 3 months.
Where do you think he's going to pop up?
Control your narrative.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know, because he never really leaned one way or the other. Like, it wasn't like Bray, where Bray can show up anywhere and be a top star because he's Bray Wyatt, who wrestled, John Cena, Randy Orton, The Undertaker. Bo, he had great runs for the little things he did, but there was nothing definitive. So I wouldn't even know where to place him.
Impact or NWA, I think.
I think people need to obviously bring out the fact he's only 31 years old.
That's insane. You're kidding.
Yeah, he's only 31. So he, like, you talk about someone like Randy Orton celebrating his 20th year in the company here in his early 40s and feels like he can get going for another decade plus. This guy still has many miles on his clock if he wants to try it out, especially now that he's taken an extended period out of the ring. So we'll wait and see. I look forward to him coming back. I always thought Bo was very entertaining.
So you got one person who's going to be stepping back into the ring. You got two people that are indefinitely leaving the ring, but one person who fell out of the ring is Bobby Lashley.
This was scary. The fact that obviously he's safe now, you can laugh at it, but he went out of the ring. What happened was, again, because I know you haven't explained it yet.
Transition was too good for me to pass up.
So they're at this live event, and he's wrestling. Is it McIntyre he's wrestling?
McIntyre and Sami Zayn's involved there too.
Okay. He was, I think, just accompanying Lashley.
All right. So, which seems like an odd match, considering that's one's on SmackDown and one's on Raw. But I guess
and babyface against babyface with a heel.
My assumption, honestly, was, hey, we never got to give the UK this match when they fought each other 20 times 2 years ago, so let's do it now.
And what happens is that they basically are going from one rope to the other, going to collide in the middle of the ring. Top rope breaks. McIntyre stays on his feet, but Lashley just goes over the top rope at 100 miles an hour and just lands hard on the ground. And that's it's fortunate that he's okay, because that could have gone really, really badly, because that's a hell of a fall when you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, and he kind of falls in a way that his head looks like it might have collided with the
apron. He looks like he went
apron.
Backwards head first. It's a scary, scary bump. But thankfully he is okay.
I do like the footage of that I had seen, at least one of the footage things on Twitter. This guy's just kind of narrating these Claymore. Oh, that's a botch. That wasn't supposed to happen. So bland about it.
You don't say, pal.
What's always more surprising was the fact that, and it could have been more risky, is the fact that Lashley's only just come back from injury.
Yep. So
it could have easily aggravated. And if he did land over and going onto his head, then very easily could have, because it was a shoulder injury, wasn't it? Or shoulder or elbow injury.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could have easily re-aggravated that injury. But he's fortunate that he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, it's just one of those oddball things where it's oh, this happened. And you're I saw it pop up actually on my Bleacher Report app. It's the thing that notified me first. And it was just kind of Lashley tumbles out of the ring, whatever. And I'm like, what kind of headline is this? So I click on the thing and I'm like, oh, fuck. I was not expecting this, full force flip of something that looks like it should be accompanied by the cartoon sound effects. We're just whoop kind of thing. Good thing that he's okay, because, man, that could have been a big goddamn problem.
But WWE is currently in the UK, and they just recently filed a trademark in the UK for Clash at the Castle.
No. Really?
Well, it's there. It's trademarked for literally. It's trademarked for everything from toys to clothing to paper hangers. Okay.
What paper hangers?
It surprised me that they would do that name for a show that's taking place in Wales. I'm not saying that Wales doesn't have castles, but it's not exactly known for its castles. It almost makes you feel like that's for something else.
Is it known for Wales?
No, it's not funny. It's known for sheep shagging. Is the main thing it's known for.
Do you feel better, Tony?
I feel slightly better that it's not Wales at the very least. It is sheep shagging. I gave them a little bit more credit.
No, where are they fighting? Because they're not even like at. It's a stadium. It's Principality Stadium. Is that
in a Cardiff?
Near a castle? Is that what's going on there? Why is it?
Well, I presume there are castles in Cardiff, but I don't know them personally. I've only been to Wales once in my life, but yeah, I don't think I ever went anywhere near Cardiff. But yeah, I imagine there are some things of historical reference there, because in fact it's Wales' capital and biggest city and all that stuff. But nothing that immediately springs to mind. The fact that it's called Clash at the Castle, like the Principality Stadium is not a castle. I do not know if it is in the vicinity of any castle. It would surprise me that they'd put a stadium so close to a castle. But
maybe John Laurinaitis is going to get some kind of a person to come back and be like, all right, look, we're really looking to change our venues to look more like a castle these days.
Well, it's just a case of maybe they're going to do some sort of royal, like medieval court theme, which would be interesting, because it's amazing to see a wrestling show these days that actually has, well, from a WWE side of things, a pay-per-view that doesn't look the same as every other pay-per-view that takes place. It's pretty much usually only WrestleMania, and the rest of them are just a hodgepodge of the same stuff. But if the stuff that's out now about how Nick Khan wants to expand the number of stadium shows they do each year comes to fruition, I guess they're going to be compelled to do more extravagant and diverse things in that regard.
To be fair, AEW really only has two speeds either. It's either casino or it's beach. That's all they really seem to do.
But Clash of the Castle, it's not the worst name in the world. It's not great, but it's not. But I can see why they would be naming something like that for the UK.
It's very old school in a way that I don't like. Like, I could imagine, Hulk Hogan is going to be at Clash at the Castle, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, it's not my favorite thing. Yeah, Clash of the Champions.
Stop. 34 seconds ago, Sean tweeted, NXT releases are coming.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, okay, well, we're going to be going along, it seems like here. All right, keep going with the rest of the stuff. Get the rest of the stuff out of the way so we can move on to this.
Oh, that's not good. Especially because we're not even doing this live.
I mean, you should be getting this information earlier, right?
Yep.
So you let us know when they start hitting.
Okay.
Should we try and sprint through the rest?
Oh boy.
They already have
one already. Or do you want to wait until he's tweeted it to verify it?
Yeah, Tony cut this part because I don't want it.
I'm not cutting separately. Send me a thing on the side. Because we're recording this in one big block.
We'll get it.
That's right.
Just be privately.
It's gonna be a big list, and there's some names that were just on TV. At least one.
All right, send us a list separately.
Holy shit! The fantasy league's gonna get interesting already.
Yeah, send us a thing on Skype or something while we're going.
Well, he's gonna tweet them out as they go, and I guess I'll read them out loud as they go. But yeah, so NXT releases, that sucks.
I'm going to prep my list that I had set up ahead of time that I was like, maybe I don't have to do this necessarily while we're going along here. Where did I even put that thing on here? Because there you go. It's WWE releases, more budget cuts, etc., etc. Let's just switch April 15th to 29th.
Be so dumb if again, I don't want to speculate until it's come out if one of them is Simone Johnson. We'll spend too long in the podcast on one part of it.
But I mean, at least we are still recording this, so it's not like we just did it. It's uploading and then that happens. So we can adjust on the fly. Sure. And you're kind of getting live reactions to this, sort of. I don't know.
It's live for us, not for you.
Yeah.
Like you already know what's happened, but we're hearing it for the first time, so you get to see our live shock reactions.
It's on select, so let's see.
Okay, I'm going for it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! Why isn't select appearing on my thing yet?
I know it's not appearing on mine.
God, Sean, what are you doing, Sean? God, what sort of dirt sheet writer is he?
He's a really good one because
not a prompt one though, and that's what I need right now.
Malcolm Bivens is released.
Oh no! Seriously?
Yep.
That was guaranteed points to me. Let's see.
Yeah, it's guaranteed 25 off, pal. Malcolm Bivens.
Oh, Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai. No, fuck.
Yeah.
That's the only two I'd see right now.
That's the only two that he's named. So, fuck. I love Dakota Kai. You know, and she deserves better. And Malcolm Bivens is going to be a fucking star one day. And it just won't be in that business.
So I've seen Sean Ross Sapp's tweet about Malcolm Bivens. Fightful's learned that Malcolm Bivens has been released by WWE. The company had asked him to re-sign in February, and he'd made it clear he didn't want to do so.
Oh. Huh.
Well, I mean, that's right. It's a good thing to do.
So that means that so that one would have been coming. I guess that would have been inevitable. If I knew now, I wouldn't have drafted him. But that's fine. Oh, hang on.
We got another one.
I drafted Dakota Kai as well.
Oh.
Okay, so you're minus 50 to start off.
Yeah, minus 50 at the end of the year already so far. Look
at that, Rob. Look at us kicking his ass.
WWE's kicking my ass, but that's been the case for like 20 years or whatever, so that's fine.
Oh man. Well, I'm even gonna have to adjust the thumbnail for this and the headline and all this.
Malcolm Bivens is going to go to AEW. He's going to manage Swerve and Keith Lee, and it's going to be amazing.
Good though. That's the case.
Dude, that would be so fucking good.
But we're already at a point where it's like, all right, fuck, Creed Brothers need a new manager. You know?
So let me.
How is Malcolm Bivens the one that leaves instead of Roderick Strong? Well, Roderick Strong's probably leaving us.
Wait. Give it a couple of minutes.
So the reason I was like, yeah, cut it, is because like I always get really a bit overreactive to these because like it just kicks me in the gut, you know. I fucking love Malcolm Bivens, man, and like he was too good for that place from minute one. They had him sitting on his ass back when NXT was booming. He's always been too good for that place, and Dakota Kai is going to make so much money on Twitch. And good for her, too. And, fuck this company, dude.
So, like, she's awesome, and she's such a great wrestler. And I remember, like, years and years ago, like, not being a huge fan of her because I wasn't a fan of the chiropractor finisher and stuff like that. And I thought that she was coming across as a bit of a geek with the way that she was being bullied around by Shayna Baszler. Funny enough, like, one of her best friends and all that other stuff as well. Just a case of, but she got so much better, and she was like one of the standout wrestlers in NXT for the last couple of years. And yeah, she's going to be totally fine on the indies or in AEW or wherever she ends up. Like, she'd go to Impact, she'd go to AEW, she'd go to anywhere, and she'll absolutely kill it. She's a big name on. She does a lot of streaming on Twitch. She was going to be totally fine in that regard.
So here's the thing that sucks. Now she has to worry about the work visa.
The visa is the issue now. Yeah,
you know,
this company.
Well, as this goes along, if you hear any more, stop us and do that. I'm gonna have this up on the side here.
You said it was a long list, and there's only been 2 so far.
Well, I think you just get used to it being a long list. but it could just be these two. It's like it's never good when anybody loses their job, but I hope it's only two and it's not, 20.
Yeah, it's a shame, but I think they'll both find their feet fairly
quickly.
Oh,
they're gonna find their feet. It's just like Bivens is doing this thing with Strong about how the Diamond Mine isn't gonna crack, and that's just dead now.
And if they knew that he wasn't going to resign, then why not make it?
Why didn't you speed that up then?
Why not make it to where it's like, okay, well, you're the problem and whatever, and like make a story out of that or something?
Yeah, can you stick around till Tuesday at least? Like, I hate the way they're doing business lately. I hate that like nothing matters, and this person's gone now, and the role of Malcolm Bivens will now be played by a chair because they just don't. They just don't care about anything, and it's so jarring for fans and for the people working with them, and I fucking can't stand it.
It's so blatantly obvious, too, that it's just like, well, who fucking cares? Move on. And I've never liked that mentality. I don't like that for anything. I don't like that for, like, if somebody's like, well, I had a death in the family, but life moves on, or like, I lost my job, but I'll get a new one. It's always just sort of, I envy it in some ways, but in other ways, all right, so let me switch. Malcolm Bivens is no longer in the Diamond Mine, so I can get rid of that and have him on the formerly with Hachiman and whatever too, because Hachiman used to be a part of that group.
I have officially put a cross through them on the Fantasy League list to indicate their release.
From Top Dollar regarding Malcolm Bivens that says the only person in the entire Performance Center that could promo with me, and I have the receipts to prove it. That brother will do just fine. Of course he will, because he's a fucking star. It sucks. Like, it really does. Like, it hurts, because these fucking people work their asses off. And in the case of Bivens, was sitting on his hands for so long, and they gave him something, and then, of course, we're going to do nothing with it.
Well, continuing the NXT talk, let's go with our NXT Spring Breakin predictions, which was originally the big headline thing for this. We still have we could talk about the Bad Bunny thing, and we can still talk about some TNT stuff. Yeah, the TNT Championship thing. I don't know. I'm getting TNA. I'm all flustered. But I mean, the original plan for this was, hey, NXT Spring Breakin predictions is the headlining thing, because I didn't expect that we were going to get this stuff. Although I did make numerous jokes recently of, for all I know, on Friday afternoon they're going to release people. So maybe I put it out there in the universe. Sorry.
Let me read this tweet real quick from Sean. Less than a year ago, Diamond Mine was supposed to be Roderick Strong, Tyler Rust, Arturo Huas, Hideki Suzuki, Hachiman, and Marina Shafir, and Malcolm Bivens. And Strong is the only one still with WWE.
And he's the one that's very clearly like, I'm out of here. Oh, man. Well, NXT Spring Breakin is coming up this week, and unless they decide to just release people that are on this card, this is the current lineup for it. We'll go along here. We'll give our predictions. Creed Brothers are very clearly going to beat the Viking Raiders, right? You're on agreement?
I mean, sure. I thought so.
Nathan Fraser is having his NXT in-ring debut against Grayson Waller. He was supposed to have it this week, I should say. But in typical, your debut is happening, LOL, no it isn't, we changed it, just like they did with Roxanne. They decided to do a little segment to set up a Grayson Waller match instead. I'm thinking Grayson Waller loses this because of some interference by Sanga.
I'm thinking Grayson Waller wins because of interference by Tiffany Satin. Sanga, my guess
Sanga
is
could
Sanga
be gone in 10 seconds. So
my guess is Sanga ain't a factor here, bro. Tiffany Stratton probably be.
Yeah, NXT's totally fine with having people losing their debut. So yeah, I think they see something in Grayson Waller, so they're going to have him win. We
got Natalya and Lash Legend against Cora Jade and Nikita Lyons. I know that Callum in particular is looking forward to this.
Listen, you got the boat. What else do you need? You got the boat.
Well, fundamentally, I think...
Does that mean that Lash Legend's the anchor?
Oh god, they're away. They're like that. It's hard to find someone with like a flotation device for this match, but well, to be fair, like at least 3 of them have pretty big flotation devices. But we'll
Maybe did the joke.
Jesus.
But we'll they've had a Nikita
He's talking about massive egos.
Yeah, exactly. Big heads. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. They had Nikita Lyons beat Lash Legend in both their singles matches, but based on the way they've gone with Natalya and Cora Jade so far, I probably just assume that Natalya's going to make Cora Jade tap out to the sharpshooter.
That's the way they've been booking Cora Jade. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Nikita Lyons just immediately turned on her, and it's all a big swerve because Cora Jade's the dumbest babyface on NXT. She is not intelligent as a character. What is going on with her? She always gets punked out. Like, and I can hear Vince McMahon or Bruce Pritchard making a joke of, well, she likes that punk rock. Let's just keep punking her out. Like, she's the worst. And I love her in the ring, but like, my God, she's not smart.
Yeah, I don't think that this is really something that they really even give a shit about either. That they're just sort of flip a coin sort of deal. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Natalya and Lash Legend because Nikita Lyons can lose the match without really losing, and they can kind of carry on, and Cora Jade gets a big win over Natalya down the line or whatever they might be. Cora Jade could just be a sacrificial lamb to have the Nikita Lyons and Natalya match or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I'm going with Nikita and Cora win with Nikita pinning Natty.
Yeah, in any fashion, it really doesn't matter. We got a sit down with Tony D'Angelo and Frankie the Squid and whatever their names are.
Was it Stacks and
Stacks and Two Dimes?
Stacks and Two Dimes. Channing Lorenzo. And Troy Donovan.
Yes, okay. Cool.
My question is, where does he keep the 2 dimes?
He stacks them up.
No, the other guy stacks them.
Yeah, he hands them over to Channing and he stacks them.
So then he's got no dimes.
Troy no dimes. Donovan.
I would have exactly 0 dimes.
One of my favorite parts about Goodfellas is when they're like, we call him Johnny 2 times because he always said everything twice. And then the guy stands up and he goes, I'm going to go get the papers. Get the papers. It's just one of these completely pointless parts of the movie, and I love it so much. So I hope that 2 dimes is just perpetually like flipping 2 dimes in like both his hands like Two-Face or something like that, or rubbing 2 dimes together or whatever. This is a promo segment, so we know how this is going to go. Tony D'Angelo is going to talk, and he's going to be like, hey, fuck you. And Santos Escobar is going to be like, yeah, I've got Legato behind me, and you've got whatever, let's fight. And the fans are going to chant for Legato, because they'll just be like, Legato, because they keep singing along with the theme. I can't imagine it's going to be anything more than that.
Yeah. I like it. I like these two, because the mobster gimmick can work, and Legato is good. Santos is good. He needs to be on main roster TV.
Rob, who's the babyface in this?
The one with the woman. So I'm going to go with Legato.
The woman.
That's definitely Legato. They rushed that feud with the Fallon Henley type thing or whatever in a way.
They just thought they just had a match with Briggs and Jensen on the latest episode of NXT and cheated to win.
Well, they've rushed everything that she's done because they were feuding with Hit Row, which they rushed, and then they were feuding with Zion Quinn, which it was like, oh, is she flirting with Zion? And nope, she's with Legato. Still, they've been rushing everything.
But I think that they kind of pushed that off to the side. And they did that little angle with Stone and Wagner and Cromwell attacking Brooks, so they could just be like, look, that's who you're feuding with now. Move on. Legato's babyface, that kind of thing. But then again, Tony D'Angelo's gone babyface and heel like 3 times recently, so who fucking knows? Triple threat match for the North American Championship. You got Cameron Grimes defending against Carmelo Hayes and Solo Sikoa. I am currently leaning towards Carmelo Hayes winning the title back.
I wouldn't put it past them, but like I think Hayes and Sikoa need to go up.
Well, here's the thing about the I'm gonna steal a line from you.
My line.
NXT Stand and Deliver and the stuff that led up to that, they've pretty much just said, yeah, none of this stuff matters. We're going back to the way that we had it before. multiple titles have changed hands just to change back. And they did the thing already with Cameron Grimes. He was going to win the championship to prove to his dad that he could be a champion. Moving on kind of deal, you know?
All right, so what do you do with Grimes?
I think that maybe he comes up to the roster.
And does what?
Probably gets renamed something dumb and then gets saddled with something stupid.
I can't think of an acronym that ends with Godwin and sounds like a farm animal, but gets renamed to something Godwin because that's just where we are right now.
More than likely, they probably just keep the Cameron Grimes name because it's not close to his name. And then I think that he just kind of moves up.
It'll just be Grimes because he's the hick. You know, like that's the way they look at him.
Grimy Grimes.
I don't know if I can really predict this one because it's just like all three of them could win. Because even though all three of them could go up to the main roster, all three of them could just stay in NXT for a long time as well and be the champion. I think that I'm going to stick with Grimes retaining the championship for now just because it feels like the easiest course to take.
And we also have Braun Breaker defending the NXT championship against Joe
Gacy. This is a lot easier
Gacy.
to predict, yeah.
Which Joe Gacy is not winning that title.
I bloody hope not. That's yeah, Braun should win that.
I'll say this: I'm interested in Joe Gacy more now than I ever was before. But yeah, he's not fucking winning. Yeah, so it'll be a fine match. But you know, I was gonna honestly say, but he's got to wrestle Gunther this summer, but he's not. Gunther's on SmackDown, so I have no idea what they're doing with Braun Breaker. Maybe they should have Gacy win just to move Breaker up to the main roster.
That's the NXT Spring Breakin stuff. Let's go to another story.
Malcolm Bivens just tweeted. There was a video. He said he's on his way to get some Zaxby's, and the one thing he'll miss above all else is Xylee. That was it. He's Malcolm Bivens, and he's great.
Xylee at all. Okay. Let's go talk about this oddball kind of a story. Bad Bunny is going to be playing a wrestler in a new Sony, keep that in mind, Sony Marvel movie.
I'm sorry, what who's making the movie?
Paramount.
Okay.
No, but they, of course, this is the thing that's with Sony. If you have followed the MCU and everything, Sony tries in every possible way that they can to go, it's the MCU, but not really. They do that over and over and over again. They film scenes specifically to put in trailers to make you think that it's part of the MCU and then take it out of the movie and go, yeah, well, I mean, it didn't fit because it doesn't make any sense. And you go, I know it doesn't, but you fucking get false advertising. That's what you got with Morbius and everything. This is not a Marvel film proper. El Muerto is not a character that is going to be alongside the next release of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness kind of thing. There's crossover with certain things.
Venom was in No Way Home.
Yeah, but I mean, like, people go into this thinking like, oh, Morbius is going to be in the next Avengers film. It doesn't tend to work out like that. The way that they do these things is this Multiverse of Madness thing, of course, is going to be all over the place. You're going to have cameos from, Professor X is going to be in the movie and shit like that. But El Muerto is a Spider-Man offshoot character that I didn't even know fucking existed. Now, you figure I'm a guy who has notes of a 20-story Spider-Man blueprint of like, how do I work Swarm into a story? Tell me, do either you know who Swarm is?
I just want to know what you're doing with the Neogenic Recombinator.
That's what it is. It's the Neogenics storyline.
Fundamentally, I have heard the name Swarm. I'm not as clued up in the comic book lore as you guys are, but I have heard of Swarm.
You know why? It's because Swarm is a character of a Nazi made out of bees. So if I know this character and I've never heard of El Muerto, it goes to show that this is a relatively new character. It looks like the character is made in 2006 which seems like, oh my God, that's not relatively new. But it's like, yeah, in the world of comics, I mean, people still keep doing the one Batman story from Dark Knight, from, the 80s. But like, El Muerto's story is that there's this like magical luchador mask, and
I've seen this movie.
It gets passed down, and one of the people ends up being like a superhero, and he has a wrestling match.
To face Babatunde, right?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that is that. So Bad Bunny's going to be playing that superhero character because Sony desperately wants to take anything that they have the potential rights to, like the Jackpot character, or they're making that Craven movie, and whatever they do, like it's going to suck. It's going to be terrible.
Tony, it's Bad Bunny. He's insanely
popular. Oh, I thought you were talking about Craven.
The movie's going to make so much money. I don't know if it'll be good, but it's going to make so much money.
I thought you were talking about Craven.
Oh.
I'm like, Craven's going to suck. Aaron Taylor Johnston's good, but good. Craven's better as a Spider-Man villain. But this El Muerto thing is just... It's honestly, it's one of those things that it's good and it's bad in some way. Like, this is kind of the way that I'd be okay with Sony taking these and go, okay, this character doesn't fucking matter. Nobody is going to be like, man, we didn't get a proper Venom thing yet in the MCU, but Venom's a cool character. We're not missing anything with El Muerto. Sony can fucking have it. And I'll see it. Of course, I saw fucking Morbius. I saw all these other things. Like, if it's a Marvel related thing or pretty much any kind of superhero thing, I'm going to check it out. But I'm not as down on this as I normally would be. It's going to be textbook. It's going to be by the, same kind of outline as everything else that we've seen. I can tell you exactly how the movie is going to go without even knowing the character. It's going to be, my dad was this magical luchador, and he was going to pass it down to me, but I'm a bit of a weakling, and my dad died in the process of this or whatever. So now I have to become a stronger, more courageous guy to earn the luchador mask and use these powers for good. And then there'll be some other kind of villain that's almost the same, but is like the dark parallel. And Bad Bunny will be, the adult version of this that becomes that superhero, El Muerto. And there you go. That's the movie. So it's interesting though, because it's like Bad Bunny, obviously in the WWE family from his WrestleMania appearance and Royal Rumble and such. And I haven't seen him act yet, but I'm interested in Bullet Train. That looks pretty fucking fun. So by the time Bullet Train comes along and I see what his role was in that, I'll have a better indication of whether or not this is going to be halfway decent. I'm down for it.
It's going to be pretty good. I'm just going to shut my brain off like I did with the fantabulous emancipation of one Miss Harley Quinn.
Awful movie. Does make me want a breakfast sandwich though. So despite that, this is not something that's as much in your wheelhouse, Callum. You think you might end up checking it out? Because it is crossover a little bit here and there.
Callum, sit down and watch it with us. We'll watch it.
Well, that would be the only way I'd watch it. But I haven't watched any of the Sony Marvel movies so far, or pretty much anything from the MCU past the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So like, you're not going to get me to watch a superhero movie out of my own free will. Pretty much. That's just my approach. It's just it's not like I have anything naturally against them. It's just a case of I didn't watch them when they first came out. Too many of them came out to the point where it now feels too overwhelming to start watching through them. So I decided, I'm just going to leave that side of entertainment just to people that want to watch it. Like I can know what happens, and I don't feel like I'm spoiled by any of that stuff anymore. But yeah, to be fair, I've just spent the last 5 minutes trying to find, just looking through famous Nazi names to see if I can make some sort of pun with bees. It's not really working, unfortunately.
Shout out!
It did immediately make me think of this, and this is just a huge tangent, but it's something that I find funny. So there was this British TV series, which you won't believe actually was made into a TV series, but it was called Hail Honey I'm Home.
Oh no!
It was a British sitcom where it was Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun living in an apartment building, with their neighbours, the Goerings. And they would have people like Joseph Stalin round, and and it's just like I Love Lucy, but with Hitler.
I want to watch it.
They only aired 8 episodes. Funny enough, they managed to get 8 episodes and had 7 episodes that never made it to air because they cancelled it immediately. Because, funny enough, people didn't actually want to watch a TV show with Adolf Hitler as the main star.
I wonder why. It's funny that you said that about the whole catching up on things. So shout out to Kim on Twitter that popped up on my feed of somebody had said on the Doctor Strange thing, "Oh, do I have to watch 36 movies to see this and understand what's going on?" And her response was, "No, you have to watch 27 and 6 TV shows or something." It's like, yeah, it's pretty true.
And the TV shows now, I'll admit, like I haven't watched Moon Knight yet.
Moon Knight started off better. It kind of fell off for me.
The only TV show I finished Loki and I did the first 2, Loki and WandaVision. I haven't finished the others just because.
You watched Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Oh yeah. Those are the first 2. So I did the first 3 because Loki was the third. I haven't finished.
Hawkeye's good.
Hawkeye, and I haven't started Moon Knight.
Yeah, there's different things that are good and bad, and yeah, if you want more of this discussion, head on over to fanboysanonymous.com. Make sure that you do the Pick Your Poison tier. Make sure that you request that, because I could talk about this all day to do a variation of Cap's line. But yeah, I mean, Bad Bunny doing a wrestling thing and a Marvel thing and all that. This is kind of the crossover that they really want with WWE, and I hope that they do some kind of a tie-in with this, like just some kind of Bad Bunny wrestles another match and he pops up as El Muerto and teams with Rey Mysterio and, do something like that. That'd be cool. Still no more releases popping up, right?
Yeah, hopefully there's none.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything, so.
Because I'm pretty bummed out with those 2.
Yeah.
Beth Phoenix just tweeted, Dakota Kai is a leader and an outstanding talent, one of my favorite women and a lovely human being. So this is the part of the releases where you're going to start to see their contemporaries talk about how good they are and how much of a shame it is that they've lost their job. It all just sucks. It's really, I hate days like today. The only solace is that they're going to be so much better elsewhere.
Where do you guys think that we're going to see these 2 pop up?
I think Malcolm Evans would be a slam dunk for AEW.
Same here.
Just because he's such a good promo, and they definitely treat managers with much more reverence than WWE does. And so
be one of only 2 young managers.
Yeah, and I think they could pair him. I think they could pair him up with someone easily. Good old Stokely Hathaway.
Yeah, you got like you said, there's Swerve and Lee.
I mean, that would be a natural pairing, but it's not like Lee and Swerve need someone to talk for them.
I mean, I just did a post about people that could use a manager, and I was like, I think maybe it would help for Dante Martin.
Yeah, could work for him. You've got trying to think of some other people like Hook, maybe if he breaks away from Team Taz, but then again, you probably would just have Taz as manager at that point.
Layla Hirsch.
Yeah, that could work. I think that there's there's probably plenty of other people that I'm just like, my mind's just probably going through too many at once. But I think he'd be cool with the Acclaimed, even though they wouldn't need the manager as well. But there's loads of people that he would.
They've released Blair Baldwin, who was Paige Prince-Valley.
The referee, the Christmas something or other, her name is, I think.
Vish Khan, yes. There you go, Terry.
that seemed worthless.
Draco Anthony.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. Where's he?
Raylan Devine. Harland.
No, my God.
Oh, whoa, Harland.
And Persia Perota.
All right, so we could go down this list again. Wow. So we got Harland, Persia, Perota, which is like, why did you spend so much fucking time on this?
They released Persia Perota. I got nothing, guys.
So the referee, Blair Baldwin, we got Persia Perota, Harland.
Oh no, now they're gonna do a whole storyline about like Indy being fought over between Duke Hudson and fucking name that I keep forgetting now.
Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, Dexter Lumis. Yeah, so that's gonna be fun.
How do you release the?
Draco Anthony was one. Wait, give me the full rundown again, just to make sure that I don't lose anybody. Harlan, Persia Perota, Blair Baldwin, Draco Anthony,
Raylan Divine,
Vish Kanya,
Persia, and Vish Kanya. Yeah, and Draco Anthony.
So they literally just got to the point where they could be bringing some of these women on board, and then said, "Yeah, they're gone." And Harland.
I told you. Didn't I tell you?
That's there goes somebody on my team, I think, right?
I said, "Where's Harland?"
Yeah, that's so just as a catch up for the fantasy league, because that's the most important thing right now at this point in time. That is Harland and Draco Anthony taken off of Tony's team.
Damn it.
And that's Persia Perota off mine as well. So I have 3 releases for this thing, literally days after we've done this thing. Rob has not been touched yet in terms of his team.
Because I want to make a joke that I know how to pick them, but it feels insensitive.
Yeah, nobody drafted a Paige Prince Valley or Vish Kanya or Raylan Divine.
So Draco Anthony is another one that they did this whole story of him with Joe Gacy and whatever.
Mila Milani.
Oh, there's more now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to keep refreshing the post on Select.
So that's Kelly Morga. She was somebody that they somewhat recently had done the let's trademark her name and
Kelly Morga. Yeah. That just
They are incredibly impatient, aren't they? Like, you sign these people and you give them, like, okay, we're going to give you a contract and we want you to be a part of this. And seemingly a few months into it, you're not good enough to invest any time and effort into. Wow, really?
Oh, dear. This is...
I'm curious which ones of these decided to leave. Like, I could see Blair Baldwin being somebody who left on her own accord.
I guess we'll just
which one was the ref?
That's her, Blair Baldwin.
Okay,
because she's like Chloe Christmas, I think is what her name was. She was wrestling on the Indies. I don't know too much about her, but for her to go and be young and to just be like, okay, I'm going to be a referee. Maybe she decided, no, don't want to do that. So Raylan Divine's gone. Kelly Morga's gone. God, there's always so many lists that are like, I got to change that. I got to change that. I got to change that kind of thing.
For what it's worth.
Persia.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Brian Alvarez has also tweeted. He says that he's been told that 9 people total have been cut from NXT, including Dakota Kai. But obviously, I think that's 9 we have now. So if that's correct, then that would be all of them. But then
we have 8.
Wait
if I did the math right.
Oh, okay. So
because Mila, Paige, Vish, Draco, that's 4. Harlan, Perota, Divine, that's 7.
And then Bivens and Kai.
Okay,
9.
cool. Good. Okay, good.
So yeah, we'll see whether that's accurate, because obviously that could still change at any point in time. But
yeah, well, Sean just tweeted it doesn't look like there's any more coming today.
Okay.
Huzzah, I guess. I can't fucking believe they released Persia Perota.
That's the most surprising one to me.
You gave so much TV time to this one.
I think out of all these, Persia, well, yeah, probably Persia is the one that's the biggest surprise.
For me, I mean...
Because if you look at, you breaking these down, like Malcolm Bivens, he is a manager. They don't really like managers all that much. Dakota Kai, she is at a range where they had her around for a long while and they decided to not bring her up where she could have been brought up a long time ago. Harland is shocking, but at the same time as well, they did just kind of write him off TV in some kind of weird way. Like, he just stopped appearing, and Joe Gacy's got these other people. So same thing with Draco Anthony. They just decided, nah, fuck it, I guess. But it is strange that they invested in him, and then that's the case. The referee situation, of course, I just mentioned that. Raylan Devine and Vishkanya, we have no idea what that all thing was about.
Vishkanya wasn't she brought on as part of the NXT India? Wasn't she brought on as part of that whole thing? And everybody, but I think Guru Raj that was brought on for that is released, aren't they?
I don't know. I'm losing track of who the certain people were for different things. Kelly Morga, same sort of situation where it's like we just don't know anything about what she was able to do in the ring.
Wasn't she? I remember she had been part of like photo shoots with this other one, and I was like, oh, they're like a bit of a tag team. I could see that working out, and I guess not.
Who was she with?
I'm forgetting at the moment. It was blonde. Maybe it was
Cromwell.
Maybe it was actually.
But the Persia thing, that's really surprising because they've been making her one of the biggest, most featured acts.
It's been. So her last appearance was alongside Indy, just being like, "Hey, Roxy, congratulations." You did great last week. And what a weird way to go.
That's really the biggest shocker to me. Huh. I hope we don't get more. And I'm honestly surprised that it's more just on the NXT thing. But that makes me kind of go, is that it? Or is it just, well, we're releasing the NXT people today, and tomorrow after SmackDown, we're releasing the main roster people?
And so I know that's the investment calls coming up. So, so there's every possibility, but hopefully, again, we hope that's not the case. But now they have every sign there is now. So
I legit fucking hate these because it's like at the end of the day, they do have a budget to keep, and yeah, some of these people will be fine, but it's the ones that they throw out there that are just like Malcolm Bivens on TV every week. Persia Perota's on TV every week. You're not even trying anymore. You're just like, and you're no longer doing that. That was the one advantage to the days of like the previous 5 to 7 years where they were hoarding everybody, is there was no just, okay, and this is a big story this week, and now it's not because they're gone. That throws everybody into a loop. That throws Indy through a loop. That throws Hudson through a loop. That throws, Loomis, Diamond Mine, Isle.
The thing was, like, realistically, they're going to move on, and they're going to just, who fucking cares, a lot of this stuff, which that's not a justification for anybody who thinks like that I'm making an excuse for WWE. This is just the reality of it. They're going to go, Malcolm Bivens wasn't the most important thing about Diamond Mine. The Diamond Mine's most important thing is Creed Brothers, and they're still a tag team, fuck you. And they're going to go, well, Persia Perota is not no longer the thing, and the story is, like what Callum suggested, it's going to be Indy is between the two of them. He always had feelings for Indy, and
Duke's going to cut a promo about how he had his fun with Persia, and he dropped her, and now he wants Indy.
Mm-hmm. And that's just going to be their twist of that everybody's horny kind of storyline, which is not going to be any better. It's going to be worse. And who knows? Fucking one of them will get released probably soon right afterward either. Draco Anthony's a guy that, like, I've seen a couple of his matches, and he looked like $1 million. No personality beyond that from what I had seen, because they only showed like one promo of him being like, I'm Draco Anthony and I'm going to wrestle. So it's like, okay, do something to stand out. But there was something potentially there. You were going to try to build a little bit of a Wyatt family thing going on with Harland and potentially Draco, and Zion Quinn was like, you don't have to join him and we could feud against that, whatever. And then instead they're like, Joe Gacy just has druids. Like, there's nothing about his gimmick that means druids. He's a guy that's talking about having a safe space and everybody being inclusive. What the fuck did druids come into there?
Because they don't know how to fucking book him anywhere else.
Yeah, they're just like, well, he's Undertaker Bray Wyatt-esque, so that's the one thing we know how to do. And it's like, damn it, That's not. I hate it. And some of the other people, I mean, Raylan Devine and Mila Milani and Vish Kenya, there we go. We got our answer about why they aren't in the breakout tournament, because they're gone. Harlan, it's still another shocker to me.
I knew it. I hate saying that. But like as soon as I watched UK, and I keep calling it UK, NXT 2.0, and I saw that he was nowhere to be found, but there was like 8 or 9 druids, I said, okay. They have replaced him with nameless,
Mooks.
faceless beings that can be anything.
Just whoever is around that they can have under a cloak. Awful. Yep. Well, that's the majority of our hot tags. Sammy Guevara lost the TNT Championship.
Let's just dive into this, I guess. Ali's back.
Yeah, Ali's back. He got attacked by Tommaso Ciampa, who turned heel. Asuka's back. She's going to be feuding with Becky Lynch again.
2 great things. I love both of those things.
I don't think it's great for Mustafa Ali. I think he would have been better off if he would have been able to leave.
They weren't gonna let him go. So if you're not gonna let him go,
I wonder why though. Like, why put up such a big stink about it?
Yeah, that's like Callum says, because he wanted to leave. Because he wanted to leave.
Strange.
To be one of those weird things. Like, I don't blame him for doing what he did, but like, if he'd have just kept his mouth shut, he might have just been released just randomly. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
But yeah, as long as he has to be signed to the company, at least he's working and he's on TV, so good for him. Yeah, Raw was built around that Randy Orton celebration.
By the way, shout out to Randy. Yeah. Like I know how you potentially feel about him most days, but like Randy he's that guy for people, man. And yeah. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, 20 years, I can count the number of matches that I'd go back and watch his career on 2 hands.
How many of them are from before he got all the tattoos?
Like pretty much all of them.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I thought.
Like the matches that I'd go back and watch from his career, from like again, like it's not again. I don't want to say like he's bad by any stretch of the imagination. He's definitely not bad, but it's just like he's very unmemorable in terms of his matches. And the only thing that you do remember is the RKO, really. But he developed one of the most over finishing moves of all time, so good on him, and that's been able to carry him a lot throughout his entire career. But the matches that stand out to me throughout those 20 years, you're looking at the obvious one is Cactus Jack, Randy Orton.
Yep.
That's just an awesome match. I'd say the 3-on-2 handicap match WrestleMania preceding that as well was a really good match. Orton Benoit.
Yep. Keep naming them, I'll tell you if they're on my list or not.
Orton Undertaker from 21.
We watched that whole pay-per-view. Go back and watch it. It was fantastic.
I'd say the Triple Threat World Heavyweight title match from 22, even though he's not a huge part of that. But like,
I always think we should have given them more time.
Yeah. I'd say I had loads of other ones in my head. I think the Iron Man match he has with Cena is the best match they had together.
I haven't watched that in a while. I really should.
One of them, at the very least. I think that was a bragging rights. I think that one. There's plenty of. I'm trying to think of other ones that are ahead.
The stuff with Christian, I think.
The Christian match, SummerSlam. Yeah, SummerSlam Christian. Yeah, that was great. That's
Cage with Christian as well.
Yeah. Rollins at WrestleMania 31.
Yeah, that's good. I do think it gets swallowed up by the moment.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, that RKO is one of the best RKOs of all time, so of course it is. I mean, the stuff that he's doing with Riddle is the best stuff he's done in years. Admittedly, he has some of the worst matches of all time, but like his 2 matches with Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania are the 2 worst like rematches it's like the worst match and rematch in WrestleMania history.
I want his steel cage with Flair in 04 for me. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. As I say, he has had plenty of good matches. I think the match with Edge at Vengeance 2004 was good as well. And he's just been. It was just that period really between like 2007 and
2011.
Yeah, 2011, maybe up to 12, up until the Christian feud was like just complete blah for me. That whole legacy stuff. He was champion way too often, but then from 2011 he has stuff with Christian. That's really good. The Authority stuff, in hindsight, is really good. Like he actually fits that role perfectly, and because they actually decided through choice or otherwise to go with the Daniel Bryan thing, that all fitted together perfectly.
He's been a part of some of the better stories. The matches I don't know about, but like genuinely, like a whole lot of people love the thing with Hunter breaking into his house, and the match it led to was dog shit. But that segment is unforgettable.
Yeah. So shout out to Randy for 20 years.
Randy's fun, and shout out to him indeed.
Yeah. But
that's mostly the Raw stuff.
Just to go back to the AEW thing.
That's what I was going to.
Already mentioned the Sammy Guevara thing. That match.
Harwood and Wheeler.
I will talk about that.
I thought you were going to start off with that. That's going to be a good thing.
Oh yeah. Well, we can run it down from the start then. So that's a great match between Harwood and Wheeler. It's just. It
was cool to see them against each other and everything.
Yeah, and there were so many callback spots to Hart and Owen, as well as a couple of other matches. I think the finish is the Perfect and Hart finish from SummerSlam '91. So that was cool to see as well. And we get to see who got the victory out of that. So Dax got the win, as I think most people expected. But that was had a lot of fun way to open the show. Get to see more BCC stuff. We got the confirmation it's going to be Punk and Hangman at Double or Nothing, as we all expected.
Mm-hmm.
Hangman can be there.
Of course, talk about more in detail with our predictions later on.
Yeah. Hangman could actually be at the show because of COVID protocol, but that's just something you have to live with in this day and age. You've got had the Deeb and Shida street fight, which was good, and that set up Deeb to be the next challenger for Thunder Rosa. So that, at least we know that means that Deeb's not going to be in the women's Owen Hart Cup, because she's going to be fighting for the title, it seems, at Double or Nothing instead.
I do want to point this out. Because it looks like the Owen is pretty much set with these next two men's matches.
Yeah, they still need two women's qualifiers.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that Brian Pillman hasn't been factored into this. That's, I guess, neither here nor there.
You had Archer against Wardlow. Archer's like underrated in terms of like how like the quality of his matches consistently. Like he made Wardlow look great in this match, and Wardlow did really well as well. Like that first Hurricane Rana spot is just insane, and then the rest of the match and getting him up for 4 consecutive power bombs was great as well. He had the Yas and Kingston and Santana Ortiz segment and the fireball in the face. Did you see the people? You see that person on Twitter that said that, like, apparently we're supposed to be okay with the Jericho using fire, but if Alexa Bliss uses a fireball, then that's bad.
I like for that matter. I can't speak for the internet, but I like that too. But at least with Jericho, it's like that there's an apparatus.
Well, yeah, Jericho just lit fire in his face. He didn't launch a fireball out of his hand into. So it's a bit different there. And then. Was there anything else outside the main event that was a big deal? There probably was, but I'm just forgetting stuff.
It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, Death Triangle takes out House of Black, and
Phoenix returned.
Yeah, that's great. But then we get to the main event, and like Sammy's full blown heel now.
Yeah,
and Sky's babyface, pretty much. Where he will be babyface coming off of this, because even though he's still currently aligned with Paige and Lambert, I think that with Kazarian coming out afterwards and them hugging, I think that's an indication that he's about to be turning babyface. I mean, he's going to get I don't want to say a super long reign, but I think he's going to get a reign now of a month or two. And in the meantime, you're building up
serious.
Paige in the background more.
Dexter Lumis.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Dexter Lumis added to the mix. Well, there goes that.
Oh, that's minus. That's another one for me. Fuck. I had all of those ones. Oh, they're going to get rid of all of them, aren't they?
They're getting fucked.
You think they're going to get rid of Duke and Indy?
Well, what's Indy going to do now? No. Oh, my husband just got left.
Well, I mean, could end up being the whole, it was all Duke the whole time, and she cheated on him, and blah blah blah.
Well, he's right. He's right. You can still salvage this by just saying they left because it turns out that they were actually,
they had history before, and it was and I literally just clicked out of the fucking things. I'm like, well, I'm not updating that anymore because that's not going to be the thing. So let me open up my tag team list and open up my roster list and open up my heel and face turn list. And,
are we done now? Is this enough? Are you not entertained?
God damn it.
I genuinely don't know.
That is, Jesus Christ. He was my 20th pick.
And look, the odds are nobody will hear this. Someone was a dick and tweeted at Sean, "Oh, well, if you do come on," because he just asked me while we were doing this to do the SmackDown show, and I'm like, sure, he deserves some time off as well. And Sean had said, "I'll come out to, talk about the releases at the top of the show, and some dick was like, "Oh, if you do, spare the acting, like if it affects you personally." And it's like, you know what?
You can still empathize with people, Christ.
Yeah, like fucking. I hate people. This sucks, guys. Like, that was one of the angles anchoring NXT 2.0. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And if you look at what they're looking for in somebody, Dexter Lumis is a muscular as hell looking, admittedly oddly captivating character for a guy who's said 2 words in his entire WWE career.
I was like, I had so many dips and troughs with him in terms of the fandom towards him. Like, he was I think he started off really well in that match with was it in the Breakout tournament? Like the first Breakout tournament they did, he had a match against someone. And I thought, oh, this is quite an interesting look. And then it went a bit too cornball with the Velveteen Dream stuff and him kidnapping Roderick Strong and all this stuff.
He was on Velveteen's side, right? Like, he was kidnapping the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, that's a very unpopular place to be right now.
Yeah, I didn't mean like that. Yeah.
But then he moves on to doing the stuff with Indy, and it gets a bit more entertaining when it's with the Way, and Johnny Gargano's playing off him really well. And the most recent stuff is a bit like, I saw it as more of a miss than a hit. The stuff with just them just full out making out on screen every second that you can kind of get, I think that was a bit too far. But I guess maybe it's the reason because he's 38 years old.
Yeah, it's that whole, we don't have somebody who's on the older spectrum on the youth movement thing, but he doesn't look like it,
It's just amazing that he's been wrestling since 2007.
Samuel Shaw.
50. Yeah, Samuel Shaw, 15 years. Just checking some of his old names.
How long has it been since Samuel Shaw was on TNA?
He started wrestling in Impact in the Gut. He first appeared in the Gut Check. Well, actually, no. He first appeared in Hardcore Justice as a character called Lupus. As in the disease lupus.
Yeah, I got you.
And
Dexter Lupus. That's something that'll be his next thing.
Supal spelled backwards. No, it's but then you had he appeared on the Gut Check in 2012. So I guess that was kind of his real start outside of that. And then so Samuel Shaw as the names as his name Samuel Shaw was in 2013 was when he started, when he did the whole stalking Christy Hemme stuff. But yeah, that's a bit of a sucker punch. But I guess if you're getting rid of one, you might like Persia Prora. Now that one feels a bit less shocking. although you'd assume it would have been Duke Hudson. But well, again, don't want to put anything out there in the universe, but
Yeah,
but you know.
For all we know, it's just that they just haven't said Hudson and Hartwell. But I'm hoping that those two don't get released, because, I mean, not only do I hope that nobody gets released in these, but, like, I like Indy, I like Hudson, I liked Loomis, I liked Persia, you know? But, like, if I had to pick two to stick, I would argue that maybe Duke and Indy would be the two that I would pick, you know? Like, so, obviously, I'm hoping that there aren't any more releases, but, man... 50-50 split there, Dexter Loomis and Persia.
Yeah, no, that is odd. Again, just looking forward to how they decide to explain this on NXT next week.
Wesley will come out and he'll be like, sucks, huh?
They thought a whole
down south slang.
Lost their partners. Yeah.
It's cut away for that. It's just gonna have like a list of like all the people in the ring that something weird has happened to recently. Like you're gonna have Wesley standing there by himself. You're gonna have Indy with like her arm around Duke Hudson. You're gonna have Kaylee Ray standing there with a sign that says "I'm Alba Fire now," and Katana Chance is gonna be like, "Yeah, samesies," you know, just sort of thing. Like,
you're gonna have to form a focus group. Some of them, it's just like Wesley and Duke and Indy just all sitting around in a circle talking about how they've lost their partners and stuff like that. It's like a bereavement course almost, really. Just be like they have one empty chair next to them at all times.
Like the start of like an AA meeting. It's like, hi, my name is Wesley. Hi, Wesley. And it's been 4.5 weeks since I had a normal tag team.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell that they don't fucking... The right hand doesn't talk to the left here.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of Persia's last tweets was, Persia and Duke cordially invite you to NXT 2.0 because they were the two picked for the meet and greet. So people were signing up to meet Persia and Duke. You can tell that there's zero planning.
It's just whoever is making that charge to cut people at the top of the food chain, the Nick Khan call or whatever it might be, just goes, doesn't matter, XXXX, these names. Here you go. Here's the list.
But how can there be so little focus on what's actually happening on your product? And listen, this isn't to say that like Samuel Shaw was going to headline WrestleMania as Dexter Loomis. But how can you not know that this character has been one of your core characters for over a year?
Well, like you said, how do you have one group of people working in this company that are responsible for the creative output of what goes on TV, and the same group of people are also making the same judgment calls of it doesn't matter at all what we have on there. Continuity is not a thing. Next week, we just say moving on. And it's a really bad business practice for anything. You have to, somebody gets injured, you have to roll with the punches and you have to do something like that. Rare circumstances like that happen. But the key word's rare. You shouldn't create that environment. And I know WWE is only interested in quantity of content rather than quality. They're just pumping out hours.
Yep.
But still, it's like, I didn't see the movie, but there's a movie with Ricky Gervais where nobody can lie. And it's like The Invention of Lying, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Where he decides like, hey, I can just not tell the truth. And it's like, this wonderful imaginary kind of like, what, I didn't see that, groundbreaking sort of deal. I didn't see the movie. I don't know if it's good or not, but
it
like,
is good, yeah.
Maybe I'll check it out then. I wish corporations and companies and stuff just had to be honest about things. Like, don't tell me you're recalibrating your strategy and, well, we really care about our audience and that's why we're going to take away these things because whether it's like people getting released or it's some kind of stupid thing with like the Discovery Warner thing where it's like, we're going to fire a whole staff worth of people and just say, well, we're changing our philosophies and what. I'd just be like, look, we don't like this department anymore. You're gone. We decided to nix these people because we didn't think that they were good enough. Just be honest about that. And it would be so refreshing to hear this straight up. You didn't pay any attention to the idea that Dexter Lumis was a big part of this and whatever. You didn't think that the person part of the thing, and for them to not give a bullshit answer and just go, nope, we don't watch our show. You know what I mean? It's weird to think that supposedly Vince McMahon comes up Raw this week and many other weeks and says, all the work that you've done is thrown out the window. Pitch to me anything random, and if I like it, I'll sign off on it. Then why the fuck do these people have jobs?
Yep.
If it's just going to be 3 people decide everything, you don't need to pay writers anymore. Go back to the way that it used to be. If that's what you really want.
Because they want to feel like they have a think tank.
A think tank that leaks. That's what it is. Here's your visual.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate that this ended up happening like this. I hate that it, honestly, for my own selfish purposes, I hate that it happened when we weren't live. So we couldn't have, gotten people's live reactions in the chats and stuff. Instead, we're going to be, an hour later when this is uploaded and everybody's listening to it or something. But did another one come?
Raylan, no, I'm looking at Raylan Divine because, let's be honest, some of these names were just people who didn't
show up yet.
Show up, yeah. And I believe she's Mace's sister. Because that's Brendan Williams, right?
Brendan Williams? Yeah.
Yeah. And she's Jalen Williams, and yeah, sucks.
I don't know if that's a good sign for Face.
I still think that they have plans for Face.
Until tomorrow.
That's the thing.
I mean,
yeah.
They pre-recorded SmackDown, so we know that the stuff that's pre-recorded is going to air. But at the same time, there's been many instances in the past where they've pre-recorded some content on NXT or NXT UK or SmackDown or whatever, and then they've released people that show. Like, they've had plenty 205 Live episodes where, because of course they didn't give a shit about 205 Live, where it's been like, the last match of so-and-so will air tonight on 205 Live because they were released earlier today. So we could see some people from there gone today.
The people who were released would joke about it and go, I believe it was Anthony Green, August Gray, that was like, yeah, this has just become a loser leaves town match.
Yeah. Man. Well, again, I hope that we don't have any more and that they don't pop up after the hot tags are over with, because we are wrapping this up. We tacked a whole half hour plus to this that we were originally planning. But if they do, they'll find them up on the website. I've got the post up, so I'll just keep adjusting it here and there, I guess. I'll probably write up another thing later on today or something about my thoughts on where these people should go, or just the, overall impressions of the releases or something. That'll probably be up on EWN. Boo. That sucked. Any other thoughts you guys have for hot tag stuff?
Selfishly, the conversation that we had in the initial half of this podcast was fantastic. And I feel like it's now ruined by, oh man, they released this one. Oh man, they released, and that just sucks. This all sucks.
Yeah. It says turned into quite a draining episode. Not that all the discussion has been good. Just it's always good to get the thoughts and get the news and stuff out there, but yeah, it went into being what just seems like any other old hot tags, into being one of those ones where you just really don't feel too good at the end of it.
Yeah,
which is a shame, but hopefully everyone else listening has enjoyed it for as much as you can do in these circumstances.
Well, stay tuned to whatever else is happening your way over on smarkoutmoment.com and obviously this YouTube channel and wherever you're listening to us.
Like, most importantly, stay tuned to Fightful.com and Fightful Select. I don't usually step on Tony's plugs, but if you're gonna get the news on this, you're gonna get it through Sean Ross' app. Go to Fightful.com and Fightful Select.
If that's breaking news for that, because WWE doesn't even fucking announce them anymore, there might still be people that are gone from the company that we don't even know. Like, I haven't seen Danny Luna in the longest time. They've never said anything about releasing her. Who the fuck knows? NXT UK is a real minefield. Like, I still don't know who Tiger Tehran is. I think it's Amir Jordan. Who fucking knows?
Really, yeah.
But yeah, if you are liking and following and favoriting and subscribing and checking out all that stuff, then you will see whatever pops up when it does. Go to fanboysanonymous.com. Do the same thing over there. Check out the EWN and Bleacher Report stuff. Check out what I got at Tony Mango. Follow Fightful, as Rob said, for what he's got going on over there and some other things.
Yeah, follow me at Dude Felice. I will be on the SmackDown Rampage wrap-up show tonight. I will be on Twitch on Saturday. I'll be doing more things. Let's just try to build this while also having to unfortunately cover shitty topics.
You can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out all the stuff that's going on in the Smark websites, including the power rankings, my Twitch contribution, and the Fantasy League, which has been gutted immediately. My chances are fucked now. I've lost already, but I'm now starting this at a minus 200 point disadvantage. But
you're the most.
Not 200, minus 100 points. Sorry.
They
100 points, 25.
They have officially named Clash at the Castle. If anyone cares for the Principality show.
Where's the logo up
at? It's on their Twitter. The logo looks like a 5-year-old did it. Yeah.
We'll check that out afterwards then. But check out the Power Rankings, check out the Fantasy League when it's up on the website as well. I'm planning on getting the whole lineup put together for sometime this weekend. But if it's slightly later, it will be up there before WrestleMania Backlash when the whole thing gets started. But yeah, check all that stuff out, and yeah, that's it from me.
I'm looking at the logo now. It does look like a little fucking kid did it.
I mean, it's fine, but it's just like, I don't know. I miss the days where they were a little more into it.
They just threw the dragon in there. It's just like, there's the spot.
But to not totally bash it, I'll say it's not like Wales WrestleMania or SummerSlam Backlash. So like, it could have been worse. At least they gave it its own name.
Yeah, it could have been that SummerSlam payback thing that I was worried about. But now I got to adjust that too. God damn it. There's so much more work I didn't feel like doing today. All right, well, you'll see these things up on the site. I guess I have to put up Clash of the Castle now and write up an article on top of that. So I'm going to be working for another 2 fucking hours after this. And, you'll see me around. But if you want to check out what else we got going on, we got some recent content that you might not have caught up on, like our ROH mock draft stuff and our fantasy card for that. We got plenty of stuff coming your way in the next couple of days or so. And we'll start getting into that stuff later on, but we'll see you when we see you. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.